Okay, so this whole experience with the house of me connecting with it so severely that I'm only almost raping it, or offering up myself so nakedly and completely, and then it responds in a very immediate way. And so the evolution that it not only came to me as I surrendered myself to it, it did so in an evolved way. So to know that it would be such a healing sanctuary to Adam, and then all that was going to transpire, because he was going to be visiting me, to look on our next door, on my next door, and then the wonder and the miracle that was. And then he could relax even more while he was here and connect with it. Like it's almost like Richard Bach. Oh my God, it's like Adam. It's like, oh my God, that house is like what Richard Bach was to us. That's very interesting. And then for me to come back here after I dropped Adam off and got an edible to bring there after I was getting everything closed up, so that by the time I got here, I would be flying. Well, what I didn't realize, I thought everything went so perfect because I called Tomas and Toulouse early, and they came, and I was so happy because everything was going according to plan, and I was going to maybe get out early. And then I realized as I was securing the doors that one of the downstairs doors was open, that the downstairs door was open a crack. So one of them must have opened it, and then the other one followed. And now I already had taken the edible because I thought it was like everything was a total Cinderella story. Well, not Cinderella story, because this was a Cinderella story. People need to be careful for Cinderella stories. I thought it was an unbelievable story. But then I started doubting everything because they wouldn't come back. And then I was getting frantic because I didn't know what time Terry and Tracy would be home. And I wanted the animals to be there by the time they got home, but I didn't want to be there high. Oh my God, I was panicking. And then I did my magic, and I was pulling them. I was literally trying to pull them. Like I was like suction of the wind. And then I realized that wasn't working. I could see them in the yard, at Karen's yard, and they did not even care that I was calling them. The more I called, the more apathetic they were. And I started freaking. I thought, this ending could ruin everything. Everything. Because then it would be a one-shot deal. Because then who knows what would happen if I left the cats outside, and then, and plus, even if the cats came back, it would just look sloppy, which was not reflective of the harmony that we all had together. Bella was a little anxious, but she calmed down. But with the cats and the nature, And so then I started asking the canyon help, and I started just really trying to send my intention. And I just couldn't do it, and I could feel myself forcing everything because I was afraid. And then I just decided to walk around the property. Because I hadn't really had a chance to even say goodbye to the property. So I thought, well, I don't know how this is all going to end, but might as well do that. And so I found myself down into the outside Indian meditation room. And I thought, I never gave myself the chance to do that. So I just stepped inside, just really still very heavy because I knew they weren't going to be coming back. And I had to accept the fact that it was like David too. It was like the more I tried, the less they heard. And it brought up that sadness of my mom, and it didn't matter. So I might as well just explore the here and now. And so I went into that meditation room, and I just slowly looked in the shelves and on the walls and the statues. There was this one peace flag that hung against the wall, so it wasn't translucent. And I read the inscription, and it said something about don't ever let anyone get in the way of growing, no matter setbacks or disappointments or struggles, or even if people ridicule you. Learning should be your single most important thing. And that's what it is for me. That's what it was for me. That's what the whole thing is for me. And when I read that, it was just so cosmic and perfect for me, completely aligned. And that mirror reflection of who I'm telling the universe I need to be or want to be, or accept the destiny, and them saying back to me, you just passed. We hear you. You were right all along. It has been a test. And by us showing this it's God. It was God. It was God. God showed itself to me in the words of that deepest internal personal intention. God was the mirror of my intuition. And then I just sat on the bed. And I lay down on the bed. And I just felt that alignment and the immediacy of just, there's only right now. And I was so happy. I was so happy. And then I noticed down on the left corner of my eye, the corner of my left eye, straight ahead, I saw movement. At first I wasn't sure what I saw. And then it was Tomas. And I was so happy because he had come back. He came from the other fenced-in yard, the neighbor's fenced-in yard, to right on the outside of that meditation bungalow. And I just was so enchanted that he felt it, that just love poured out. And then he came up on the bed, and I hugged him and held him. And then I did the scruff therapy. And he had never had that, and so I did it a couple more times. And he loved it. Then Toulouse came. And Toulouse was down in the yard, under, like, by, right on the outskirts of the bungalow. And I just was like, oh my God, they came back to me. They came back to me. And then they saw something, I guess, run into the yard. And then they both ran into the vegetable yard. Toulouse seemed to go further into the next door, but Tomas stayed. But I still thought, oh my God, did they just get away again? And so Tomas somehow was relaxed enough for me, I guess because he remembered the scruff, let me come near him and pick him up. And so I held him, so happy. And then I brought him in the house, and I was so relieved and happy. I just poured love into him like I do Huda. And then he seemed happy, and so then I went outside, closed the door, and I just didn't know what was going to happen. I couldn't even see Toulouse. I thought, okay, I've won. I don't know. And while I was inside, there was part of me that was just really loving on Tomas, in case, and in addition to that, in case the two of them were psychically connected. And there's a part of him that feels jealous almost. So when I went outside and I didn't see him and went back into that room, I sat back on the bed. And I felt the power of that room. And guess what? Guess who shows up? Toulouse. So now I invite Toulouse up on the bed. And I was so happy that he came up, because he came up right by me. I petted him, and then I did scruff therapy on Toulouse. And he seemed like he had never experienced before either. So I did it another maybe time or two. And then I brought him into the house. And now they're both enchanted with me because I did the scruff therapy, and they look at me like, are you my mother? And then I put the cats to bed. I wrote a note to Terry and Tracy, made it real fun and fancy and art and just real sweet and loving. And then I put the house to bed. And then I went down to my car, and I was like, you know what? I still haven't said a proper goodbye to the house, to the yard. I knew my chance to say to the house was over, and I mostly had done it. Anyway, so I decided to go put the stuff in the car. I kept my purse, and then I went back through the front yard, and I just thanked it, and I just looked at it and marveled. And then I saw a pink rose that just was like Beauty and the Beast, and I knew it was the magic rose. And so it beckoned to me to take it back to the earth. And so I took it back to the yurt. Actually, I just picked it. And then I was so happy to be able to bring something back. And then I walked all around to the back of the house through the garden. And I picked thyme. Then I walked back in that room as like a celebration that it all worked out perfectly. I had the fear and the anxiety and the struggle and the release and the sense that nothing turned out the way that I ultimately hoped it would. And c'est la vie, such is life. And then everything turned around after I walked into that meditation bungalow. And it was the connection of the perfection. And as I walked into that meditation bungalow, I looked at a singing bowl, and I was curious because it seemed like a nice one, and even the mallet. But, it was dirty and out there in the outside, and so I didn't know if she left good stuff out there. And so just out of curiosity, I took the mallet and hit the bowl, and it had such a nice sound that I hit it again just to kind of do a little test. Did it really? And is that vibration really sustaining? Oh my gosh, can I get it to sustain one more? Maybe longer? And I hit it again. And that's when I realized I just let loose 3 strong, powerful, confident gongs in this very esteemed, affluent, evolved space in the canyon that had manifested in a way that felt like me. There's like this portal. There's like a ring between me, and it goes up, I guess maybe Valley View. It goes up, it's through that ring. It's the future me and the me, the future me and the me. The manifestation of even before, or even when we ask, our answer is evolved into perfection, where it leaps over into other important areas of our life. So when we rise, our loved ones automatically rise. And that's when I realized, after that 3rd gong, I've just been announcing. Oh my God, everybody can hear me. Like that opera singer. That was singing at the top of her lungs, or just without a care. I love to listen to her because she's like a bird. She was like a bird calling. And then, when I let loose those gongs, I was the bird. And I didn't care. I deserved it. I deserved the right to cut into or join in with, or just let everybody stop and behold what I had to say. I realized the ceremony was complete. And to sweeten the pot, higher, because as that flag said, the pursuit should always, always be learning. Oh, I think I might have lost it. In the pursuit of learning, I knew I was to, with this confidence that I just announced, unbeknownst to me, but that I wanted to level up to that high level, to be what I knew everybody expected me to be like that shamanic dream where I walked into the temple and all the gods were looking down at me and they wanted me to succeed. They knew I would succeed. And those gods that were looking down at me, that was that temple, that San Vicente temple, or whatever the name of it is, in Rome that I was guided to. Those were all those statues looking down at me. And I just remembered that. And I forgot that I remembered that. And so, just like in that shamanic dream, meditation, so too was my experience being lost in Rome, and then learning through the meditation that Rome, that night, was a portal. And that was another way that God was showing God's self to me in presenting more than what I actually was hoping for. Now, I don't know how that bled into others, kind of Rome too, because Adam was there with the movie Roma, and I took a picture of it, and then I gave him the movie Roma. So Adam was in that too. So, okay. So I knew I needed to gong one more time in confidence to take my space among the highest. And that, from that moment when the challenge had put before me, through the air I moved towards the challenge. Halfway through, I was really scared, but I broke free and I rang it. And then I grabbed some time and my beautiful rose, and I thanked everything. I thanked it. And I knew I had become one. It had become one with me. I and it like an eight. An eight, a unity symbol. And as I drove out of the driveway feeling wonderful, I passed a black Jeep Cherokee or something, SUV fancy like that. And I smiled because I wasn't sure if that could be them. And then it passed me and I realized it was them. And it was Tracy driving. And I squealed. And I was like, oh, you guys. Can you imagine? And then he backed up, and then it was sort of precarious because it was on an incline, and I didn't want them to be, we were blocking the road, and I didn't want anybody to get hurt. So I didn't know if Terry was going to try to talk to me or if she was going to try to get out, but I just yelled out, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Everything's great. And then Tracy looked out the window and said, okay. And he said, we'll talk to you soon. And I said, okay. I said, everything's inside, and they're nice and calm and quiet, and they're going to be real quiet so you guys can just relax and go to bed. And he said, oh, that's great. Thank you. And I said, thank you all so much. And then they drove up back to their house, and I drove to the yurt, and I thought, what an ending. What an ending. An ending that the perfection of it all. Like, had they come home any earlier and I was in the midst of all this amazingness, just every moment evolved and beautiful, and the struggle and the epiphany and the just amplifying at higher levels of anxiety, and then magic and anxiety and magic, and God showing God's self to me in mirrors, but more than I could have ever imagined. And or if they had gotten later, And then there wasn't the perfection that we were aligned. And they came home like 3 hours before they were supposed to, which I never would have thought they would have. I thought they would have stayed as late. I could have saw them at 10. So that was perfect. Perfect. And what does that mean? I don't know. Okay, so everything. So now I have the beautiful rose and the time up on my altar because it all worked out perfectly. It all worked out perfectly. And so this rose, with this rose I thee wed. I gotta have to put that to put David's flower there. so now I'm married. I'm